History is full of many countries tolerating, sponsoring or partnering with criminal organizations. Few countries have done it the North Korean way, where the government itself is the criminal organization. The North Korean regime designs and directs the day-to-day operations of the criminal businesses it undertakes. It is unlike in Latin America or Europe where organized crime attempts to penetrate the state. No. In North Korea it is the state that is penetrating organized crime. State-organized crime in North Korea began in the 1970s when the government realized it needed money to support itself beyond the huge subsidies it was getting from the Soviets at the time. Therefore in 1974, the government opened a department which was named Office 39, which was responsible for raising hard foreign currency for the regime and for the supreme leader. Office 39 was created to oversee the creation and execution of criminal activities which would generate the needed revenue. Through Office 39, North Korea entered into drug trafficking, currency counterfeiting, small arms trade, trade in illegal extinct animals, cigarette counterfeiting among many other criminal activities. Office 39 raises about $1 billion annually through its vast network of criminal activities, with $5 billion funds stored in various banks across countries such as Switzerland, Macau, China, Russia, Luxembourg, etc. Money raised by Office 39 is used to buy the loyalty of military and party elites for the supreme leader, buy from other countries equipment for use in development of weapons of mass destruction, and for funding the luxurious lifestyle of the supreme leader. Today we are going to look at one criminal business founded and directed by the government: drug trafficking. North Korea began its secret production of drugs in the late 1970s in the mountainous Hamgyong and Yeongkang provinces. It was the successful production in these regions that led the government to seriously begin producing and selling drugs in the late 1980s. To show the strategic importance of the narcotics program, Kim Il-sung, founder of the North Korean regime, toured Hamgyeongbuk-do province in the late 1980s and designated the area around the town of Yonsa in Hamgyeong province to be developed into a poppy farm. Poppy is the ingredient for opium and the source of drugs, morphine, cocaine, and heroin. The local provincial party committee developed a secret, experimental farm in Yonsa town that was guarded by soldiers. From there, opium farming spread to collective farms located in towns like Yonsa, Hwoiryong, Musan, and Onsung in Hamgyeongbuk-do province. Under the Clinton administration, the CIA, using satellites for observation, estimated between 16 to 27 square miles were under poppy farming, enabling North Korea to produce 30 to 40 tons of opium, which was enough to make 3 to 4.5 tons of heroin per year. These numbers mean North Korea was the world's third largest grower of opium after Afghanistan and Myanmar, and ahead of Colombia, the largest supplier of heroin to the United States. All opium produced at these farms was sent to the government laboratories for processing into heroin. Yes, you heard that right, government laboratories, employing legitimate chemists, were the ones producing heroin. The drug supply chain from production to selling was being run by the government using state apparatus from labor to transport. Farmers were directed to leave a third of their land untouched for growing of poppies. It is said during the famine farmers asked, shouldn't we be growing food and not poppies, and they were told no, we produce poppies and sell them 10 times more and use the money to buy food. After school, high school students would pick the poppies in the fields and military transport would transport the poppies to government laboratories. The government operated a narcotics factory inside a legitimate pharmaceutical facility called Nanam in Changjin City, which was operated by the People's Armed Force Department. The government also brought in poppy experts from Thailand to work in the factory. The factory produced 1 ton each of heroin and opium per month. U.S. government agencies in 1998 estimated North Korea was producing 50 tons of raw opium annually, with 40 tons reportedly produced in 1995. It's fair to say the production of opium wasn't smooth sailing. In the mid-1990s, heavy rains and flooding reduced opium production. This prompted the government to start making and exporting methamphetamine in 1996. This led to the dramatic expansion of methamphetamine markets in Asia, especially in Japan, Thailand, and Philippines. In 2002, North Korea was reported as the source of 1/3 of the methamphetamine seized in Japan by authorities. North Korea manufactured methamphetamine using ephedrine, a drug used for common colds. Germany and India were the main suppliers of ephedrine to North Korea. You may be wondering how an isolated nation like North Korea sold its drugs to the world. Well, that's where the ambassadors came in. You know, diplomats' luggage is exempted from search or seizure by the authorities in which they are based. So the North Korean diplomats would just carry drugs from their country and enter freely into their country of work and start selling. They are actually given instructions by the supreme leader to make money to fend for themselves and send some to support the regime. They are free to make money by whatever means, even the ones you may call illegal. Up to today, they smuggle counterfeit currencies, alcohol, cigarettes, etc. North Korea has diplomatic missions in many countries in East Asia. So the diplomats would smuggle the drugs into a country, and then the drugs would be distributed in that country and neighboring countries, since the borders in Asia are very porous. In 1976, Norway, Finland, Sweden and Denmark expelled 12 North Korean diplomats and embassy staff on charges of smuggling drugs, alcohol and tobacco. In Russia, East Berlin, Poland, wherever they were, they smuggled drugs to raise money for Office 39. Between 1976 and 2003, according to U.S. government officials, North Korea was linked to more than 50 verifiable incidents involving drug seizures in at least 20 countries, and a significant number of cases involved North Korean diplomats and officials. The regime uses the tactic of disguising drugs as commercial cargo to smuggle them into various countries. In the late 1990s, police in Japan found 70 kilograms of illegal methamphetamines, with a street value of $100 million in jars of honey shipped to Japan on a North Korean freighter. This was after authorities suspected why a nation in the middle of a famine was exporting food. On another occasion, 99 kilograms of North Korean amphetamines were found hidden in a cargo of shellfish on a Chinese freighter. The regime also used front companies like Daesung Sangsa, which had 20 subsidiaries worldwide and carried legitimate businesses. Drugs would then get smuggled as commercial cargo for the subsidiaries based worldwide. North Korea rents out its workers to work in Russia for payment in foreign currency. These workers smuggled drugs into Russia and sold them to the Russian mafia. The regime also distributed drugs by handing the drugs to criminal organizations like Chinese triads or Japanese gangs like the Yakuza in the Yellow Sea and the Eastern Sea. Spy boats of North Korea's secret agency were used as a means of transportation. In 2001, the Japanese Coast Guard and a North Korean ship exchanged fire, resulting in the sinking of the North Korean naval vessel that was operated by North Korean Special Forces. The North Korea vessel wanted to deliver drugs to the Yakuza. Initially, the North Koreans used to meet with the gangs in international waters with their ships disguised as fishing boats and exchange the cash and drugs. Later, they made use of buoys floating in the sea where they would hide drugs for the gangs to collect later without meeting them. Between 1998 and 2002, there were 5 known cases of amphetamines being smuggled into Japan from North Korea by North Korea vessels, making drop-offs at sea to Japanese or on Chinese fishing boats. Between 150 kilograms and 550 kilograms was involved in each drop. The source of much of the illegal methamphetamine sold in Japan in the late 1990s and early 2000s is believed to be North Korea. U.S. military estimated North Korea's drug export revenue had risen to at least $500 million a year by 2003 from the $100 million a year it was earning in the previous years. Hard cash US dollars, Japanese yen and Chinese yuan were the modes of payment for the drugs. Diplomats based abroad received the cash and deposited it in secret bank accounts of North Korea in Macau, Switzerland, Luxembourg etc., or they would smuggle the cash directly to North Korea in their unsearched diplomatic bags. The North Korean regime was involved in the drug trade from the 1970s up to 2003. In 2003, a North Korean vessel Pongsu was caught trying to smuggle 50 kilograms or $115 million worth of heroin that its crew attempted to drop off on a beach in Australia. The spotlight this generated for North Korea made it to scale back its operations in drug trade. According to U.S. State Department's 2013 International Narcotics Control Strategy report, the North Korean government has largely gone out of the drug business. However, the regime has continued to expand its other criminal activities ever since, like counterfeit cigarettes, counterfeit pharmaceuticals, such as the USA manufactured Viagra, counterfeit currency, indiscriminate sales of small arms and cybercrimes. In 2024, the UN is investigating 58 suspected North Korea cyber attacks on cryptocurrency-related companies between 2017 and 2023 that raked in $3 billion it used for its weapons of mass destruction programs. Do you really believe North Korea left the drug trade, or it just got good at hiding its operations? Let's hear you in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.